So the Lotus Amira, which has an engine from Mercedes, got us thinking about what other cars were good that used engines from other manufacturers, from other places. Folks, welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. As always, today's episode is brought to you by Off the Record. We love Off the Record, and you guys too, because you send emails to me all the time telling me how Off the Record got you out of trouble. Maybe you got a little moving violation, just a couple ticks over the speed limit. Maybe you got a big one. Maybe you really need help. Off the Record is here. They will connect you with a qualified attorney in the jurisdiction where you got that ticket. They'll fight that ticket, and man, most of the time they will win. Their winning percentage is extraordinary. What you need to do is go to offtherecord.com/TST. That's offtherecord.com/TST. We will get you with that code 10% off every service you get from Off the Record. Man, don't plead guilty. That is for suckers. Off the Record, they work. And if they're not going to work for you, they'll tell you. There are some areas they don't cover, and they'll tell you. They're not going to like take your money and then be like, sorry. So they're awesome. I've used them myself a bunch, my friends, my family, and they absolutely work. So go to offtherecord.com/TST, make an account, have it ready, and then if you get pulled over, you're not in panic mode. You're ready to go with Off the Record. All right, on this episode, in honor of the Lotus Amira 2-liter AMG that's in the driveway right now, Zach and I, on this episode of the podcast, are talking about our top 5 sports cars with engines that come from other cars, right? Plus, I give my first impressions of that 4-cylinder Lotus Amira, an update on the Acura NSX, and the Bentley is now live on Cars and Bids. We've got the video up, Doug's video up, and the car is going to sell at no reserve. I am very excited. We talk about all of that and more on today's episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast. Hi.
We are here.
We exist. Ya existe, bienvenue. Now I have coffee. Good morning. What's happening? It's starting to rain here.
I was supposed to fill my car tomorrow, and it's like raining today and probably tomorrow.
That's
and
annoying.
That's not great.
Yeah, we don't get rained out very often here in LA, but
It's like twice a year.
yeah, but rain is good. We can't get mad about getting rained out because rain is good. It's a good thing for a lot of other things other than the very specific task that we do for work.
Yeah, it benefits the entire world,
Yeah,
ecosystem.
everything else except the thing we need to do. But that's okay. We have a studio. We could always podcast more, I suppose. We could do more of that. But it's a very exciting day. The video is up about the Bentley, how much it cost me to maintain it for a year. Doug DeMuro's review of the Bentley is also up on his channel. And the auction, you sort by ending or by posted instead of newly listed on the right there, newly listed. And it's up on Cars and Bids. No reserve. You can buy my Turbo R. The very talented Jonathan Harper shot the photos for this one. The car looks great. There's a lot of photos. There's actually 2 sets of interior photos for this car. There's one set that was taken outdoors, and they had just detailed the car. And I actually think there was like a little too much product left on the seats. And so the outside photos of the interior, it's a little shinier than it should be. There's a whole entire second set of interior photos that were done the next day. And it was the day it was pissing rain, and that's why it wasn't outside. They were done in the shop after they had redone the seat leather. Yeah, the interior photos, those are the after. So that accurately represents what the leather looks like, whereas the outdoor photos, it's a little shinier than it's supposed to be, but my guys fixed it. So Total transparency. Yeah, these interior photos, you might be like, why did you do it in the interior? Because when Jonathan came back to reshoot the interior, it was the day that it was like flooding all over the city.
It was raining again.
Yeah, and I just had like a Derek Bemis paint correction, and I was not going to be like...
Yeah, here's the outside one, so that's driver's seat. So
the outside one,
shinier.
it's just a little shinier than it is in real life. And it annoyed me because I didn't feel like it accurately represented the car.
But this is why you are a person to buy a car from, because I was there when you guys were like, ooh, it's a little too shiny.
Yeah.
You used the wrong thing. And it was a big discussion. And then you went back and like redid it.
We had the guys redo it
correctly.
and I had to pay Jonathan to come back and reshoot it, which I was happy to do in both cases.
Like this is, the amount, like you took care of this car mechanically.
Yeah.
To whatever, at every degree.
No,
and
but
then
also cosmetically.
It's cosmetically.
This car had 2 paint corrections by Derek Bemis in 12 months. I've been running the shop for 5 years. I've never seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
Although we have one car that had a full correction down at our South Bay store. An awesome car. It's a real keeper of an air-cooled Porsche. It's one you'd want.
Got it.
And shout out to the homie who owns it, whose name I will absolutely not use, took it on a long road rally. He had a correction done on a long road rally. And then the thing showed back up on a someone booked it home on an open carrier. So this fucking thing shows back up. It had a crazy paint correction like a month ago, and it is unbelievably fucked. And now we have to get... And like Phil, my manager down there, was like, oh my God, this car's so fucked. I'm like, I see an opportunity. Didn't get fucked up here.
Right.
Came back fucked up. That's a different framing.
We can clay bar it and see what it looks like.
Oh, it's going to need a lot more than a clay bar.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. It's fixable, but it's not great.
Wow.
But it's, you know what? If I was rolling on the level that this person is rolling, that... Not a problem.
Right.
Fucking beat the balls off the car, send it back on a truck, just clean it back up when it gets there.
Yeah.
This person, it's that level of rich.
Right. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, it's my favorite level. It's where you're buying a bunch of shit, but you're not buying like governments.
Right.
He's at
But
toys
you can
level.
optimize everything. So you're like, let's make
level.
the car optimal.
Yeah,
let's clean it
level.
perfectly.
Yeah, I like that. We have both types. Okay, so the Bentley's up on Cars and Bids. It is fucking no reserve. And I'll be answering questions as WCCS in the comments if anyone has questions. It's actually still at Cars and Bids in San Diego. So if people want more photos, which I can't possibly imagine, there's 314 photos.
No way they want more photos. I just went through them and it almost looked like a video spinning around.
Yeah, there's a lot of photos. There's video and there's service records. Everything is as documented as it can be. So I'm not saying you should buy a Turbo R, but I'm saying if you want to buy a Turbo R, you should probably buy one from me.
Buy this one.
You're not going to find a better one. You could go to San Diego to Cars and Bids right now, get in that car, and drive it anywhere in the U.S. just right away. No problem. So that's like the submarine shot there.
Cool.
Yeah, the red light. Yeah, the burl wood is excellent. The leather is excellent. The deep pile carpets are still in fantastic condition. Even though I decided I was going to live like a rich guy and use them, I didn't take them out and put them in the trunk, like the super luxurious floor mats. A lot of people take them out because they don't want to ruin them.
Right.
Because they're fucking, to replace those is like $3,000. So, but I was like, nope, we're going to live like rich people. We're going to use them. And actually they held up really well.
Nice.
We were careful, but we did.
They feel nice.
Barefoot road tripping when I drove to fucking Palm Springs, barefoot in the, the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. Yeah. If you have luxurious feet, you want
Well, you could set cruise and then do that Die Hard thing where you scrunch your feet against the carpet. Fix jet lag.
It's so good. So anyway, buy it. And if you pay enough, I'll go down to San Diego and meet you. Also, fleet update. NSX went to service at Evasive. They said all fluids were good. All filters were good. Oil change, all the things. good to go.
Nice.
Yeah, clean bill of health. He was like, this car is still so mint. I was like, it leads a life of luxury. He's like, you should probably drive it harder. And I was like, all right, I'm driving harder. So
You drive
harder. The gears are long. It's hard to really drive it hard.
They are.
Yeah.
They're very tall.
Yeah.
Cars like that, you kind of just sit, like my car, you sit in third in the canyons most of the time because you don't really need to shift.
Yeah.
We just filmed something recently that was the same case. Yeah, okay. It doesn't feel like you're driving it that hard.
Yeah.
Because you're just staying in that gear.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to like wind out first to 8 grand. You're not
Right.
doing an autocross.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do that very often.
It's a great car, though. We're going to keep that NSX around for a while. And this Lotus Amira 4-cylinder showed up. We drove it in England.
We did. It had
it was 2 summers ago.
Yeah. And at the time, the transmission was disappointing. Paddle
Yes,
shifted
it's-
8-speed. It was slow.
It's the Mercedes entire powertrain out
Right.
of the GLA and CLA, or the front half. It's not the all-wheel drive, but it's
Yeah.
the front half. So it's the Mercedes engine, the Mercedes gearbox. And at the time, they were like, Lotus was all, don't blame us. Mercedes won't let us adjust the gearbox. It's as it is in the GLA, and we didn't like that. And so this showed up yesterday. All I've done so far is errands and traffic. Haven't driven in the canyons yet. So far, as an urban runaround, this is the automatic. I don't like it. I'm not happy with it.
Well, I've been told that they improved the transmission from 2 years ago.
So we didn't do,
right.
when we did 2 years ago, we drove it to dinner
Yep.
on that country road in England, and then we drove it at the track, and that
Right.
was all we drove.
Right. We did not putter around, really.
And I have a feeling that this car, it's just like that the GR Corolla I just drove. Even though this is a dual clutch and that is a automatic, when you're sitting at a light in gear, it's so vibraty. Whereas the 6-cylinder is because you're in neutral. There's not a constant. Even with a dual clutch, it should be open, right?
Right.
Dual clutch, there shouldn't be any drag when you're sitting there. But there's a vibration in the whole car. If you've owned an Evo or any Mitsubishi product, really, but particularly, you understand what I'm talking about. Or if you've had a really high-strung 4-cylinder turbo engine before, that's what it's just vibrating and buzzy. Whereas the V6 Amira is so smooth, always so smooth. This isn't. This gets smooth when you wind it up. But at idle, it's not.
But I wonder, there's other cars we've driven that have inline 4s that are not as buzzy and they're not as shaky. So I wonder if that's either...
Cars might have more insulation.
Or maybe they have softer engine mounts. Maybe it has like really solid engine mounts.
Yeah, well, and the engine's behind your back, not right in front of you.
Yeah.
There's less opportunity or more opportunity for those vibrations to come into the car.
Right.
It smooths out when you wind it out, but like if you're in automatic, in traffic or whatever, it's vibrating when you're sitting there. And then when you start to go, there's a huge surge of, not like you were talking about with that tuner car, but like the tip-in is like real aggressive, and then it kind of like dies, and then it comes on again. I don't know why it's doing that. This is in full automatic mode. And this could be because I'm coming out of the Taycan. The brakes are like crazy grabby. I probably have like 1 to 2 hours of like traffic time in this car so far, and the brakes just are really, really grabby. And I'm driving this thing around. I'm like, I'm in the car by myself, and I'm like, I'm so jerky in this thing. Now, I suspect that when we go on the mountain, it'll be quite a delight. And if you live somewhere like, I don't know, rural England, where your B roads or Greenwich, Connecticut, or if you pull out of your house and it's green pastures and whatever, it's probably great. But in a city, this is so far not great, I'm sorry to say. But it might be awesome on the mountain. And remember how if you like turbo noises, forget a Supra, forget a Skyline. You want a Lotus Amira 2-liter. This car is the king of because it's behind your head. It's right. If you open the window, the fucking suction and back whooshing and fluttering, it's like it's kick-ass. If you like tuner cars,
do you hear it with the window up though, or is it very insulated?
You hear it a little bit with the window up.
That's good.
But you hear it a lot with the windows down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the MC20 GT2, the problem was you had to have the windows down to hear any of the turbo, and it was quieter, even though you had these huge intakes right by the window. It's kind of strange that it had quieted down. So I like that you can hear it.
Yeah, it's almost like Spider RS, but without the bad parts of having no roof. Like it actually is a very. I think if you're driving, if this is a 5 to 7/10 car, as the one we tried in England still was, and you're going on and off the pedal, not needing every millisecond of shifts, like it's actually, I think, going to be pretty good for that kind of driving.
Like a fancy SR20 MR2 situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's still like such a nice thing, but this powertrain is not good for urban driving so far. Maybe my mind will change, or you drive it, maybe you don't experience that, and maybe I'm a fucking asshole who doesn't know. But
well, I mean, the tipping thing, that's annoying. That is a very annoying thing, because that's what that Z1 Nissan did.
Yeah.
It was just too aggressive at the top, then it calmed down, then it went back up again.
Yeah. So it's weird. It's just a little strange. But, like, it did remind me how nice of a car an Amira is in general.
To sit in and use.
Yeah,
it's really
like
nice.
It's the right size, the right visibility. It's low, but I can sit upright, compared to my NSX where I have to like scrunch,
right.
A little bit down.
Well, because the NSX, I bet, has a smaller like door sill to roof height,
does.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you should buy an Amira V6 like now, like while you can. You should buy one with a stick. Like the Evoras are like reliable. Like they don't have problems. Those are some like easy to use everyday sports cars that like give you the really good sports car vibes and like work properly.
Yeah, Toyota engine.
Yeah.
Great.
But the less computers, the better. This one with the DCT and the Mercedes powertrain, there's more shit going on. I've already gotten more warning lights in the last 24 hours in this car than I've had in 2.5 years of my Spider, and it has a different engine in it.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Warning lights already. Wow.
Yeah, dude, I fucking put my phone on the passenger seat this morning, and it got your passenger isn't wearing a seatbelt warning. Like a phone.
The Z1 car did that with no one in the seat. I had to buckle the seatbelt every time I drove it.
Like that? Come on. That's
a phone? That's too sensitive.
That's not good.
Yeah, you should be able to put your cat in a carrier and it shouldn't alert.
Yeah. It's got to be
pounds.
like 20 pounds. Because even if I'm pretty sure that even if it's a baby in there, which a baby in a seat could be 30 or 40 pounds, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't. And I'm not a parent, so don't.
I was gonna say, I think you put him in the back.
Don't take.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is a back.
Wasn't there a back seat in that car?
This one, no. This one has a partial shelf.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But like,
him in
don't
the
take my
frunk.
word for this. I'm not a parent
frunk.
and I don't know. But I think you're supposed to not have a passenger side airbag activated if your baby's in a seat.
Especially if the kid's facing backwards.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So anyway, we'll have to evaluate further. That's just my initial. And you're going to take it today, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you take it today, and I've got the my first Barbie's Mercedes.
Right, you got your quinceañera Mercedes.
It is.
Your it's Beverly Hills 16.
It is 100% a Glendale quinceañera.
Or like, that's what you would drive in Clueless if it was remade today.
Dude, my Super Sweet 16.
Yeah.
It's my Super Sweet 16 fully. Guys, we got to take a quick break from the program because today's episode is brought to you by Mud Water. You ever heard of this stuff? It's different. It's a new thing, right? I found Mud Water because, and I've talked about this a lot, my experience with caffeine has been not good. I have anxiety, and so I try to avoid caffeine, but I love the idea of a cup of coffee, right? More so, and I like drinking the coffee way more than I need the caffeine. Right, I need that. I want that jolt of energy, but without caffeine. Let's refresh our routines, shake off the winter blues, and focus on a new way to feel energized throughout the day. This is a cool thing, right? Mud Water is not your average cup of joe. It's got a blend of cacao, chai, turmeric, and adaptogenic mushrooms, helping you feel more focused without a caffeine crash or those caffeine jitters. It's smooth, steady, and honestly, just makes you feel better. And it's easy because we're all busy, right? Just 2 minutes, mix it with hot water or milk, and you are set. No hassle and no over-caffeinated craziness, no anxiety, just pure focus. So, Whether you're ready to embrace this new season or just want a fresh start to your daily routine, give Mud Water a try. Save big today. Our listeners can get 43% off your entire order. That is a very specific number of percentage because they want you to remember it. 43% off your entire order plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother. Head over to, and this you got to spell it, think like a tech company, MUDWTR.com and use code TIRE at checkout. You say Mud Water, but it's MUDWTR.com. Use code TIRE at checkout. Mud Water is also available at Target and Sprouts across the U.S., so grab a cup of this pick-me-up, but use our code, really. MUDWTR.com. Code TIRE at checkout. 43% off, free shipping, and a free rechargeable frother. Let's do it. We're also brought to you today by TrueWork. TrueWork is hell-bent on creating the most technical, high-performance workwear in the world. The TrueWork story begins in the Colorado mountains where a trade worker knew there had to be a better solution than the wet, heavy gear weighing him down, and TrueWork was born. Man, they sent me 3 items that I really like. They sent me specifically this hoodie that is really lightweight but keeps me warm. It's got zip pockets so my wallet, my phone aren't falling out. It's got a great insulated hood and it fits really perfect. It's got the perfect fit. And they sent me some of those technical cargo pants that are made of that durable synthetic fabric, but they have a really nice waistband with a soft inside. They fit really good. They're the right length and they're light, but also on a chilly day, they do keep me warm. It's great. These guys, TrueWork makes good stuff. I'm stoked on this. Every TrueWork product is designed for maximum comfort, protection, and efficiency with minimum bulk or extra weight. I love that when I'm packing for travel, international especially. Every bit I can cut out of my suitcase makes a big difference. And denim and cotton canvas has not changed much over 200 years. TrueWork upgrades the traditional classics by using the same fabrics worn by elite outdoor athletes, but for workwear. It's soft, stretchy, sweat-wicking, soft-shell work pants are a major upgrade over wet, heavy jeans. Wind and waterproof shells use intelligently placed insulation for streamlined warmth that lets you stay mobile and agile. TrueWork's got over 50,000 five-star reviews and countless stories from trade pros in every state and every job across the country. So upgrade to TrueWork for a major change in the way you work. TrueWork helps you be your best when your best matters most. Check out the full lineup and get 15% off your first order at truework.com/tire. That's 15% off at TRUEWERK.com/tire. Everyone's got to have a new spelling for stuff. So remember, it's spelled the German way, TRUEWERK.com/tire. And now back to the program. Yeah.
God, that was a crazy time.
Remember that show?
Yeah.
Just kids being like, look how rich and silly I am.
But I was 15, so I didn't realize how much wealth was in the world. I was like, wow, who spends this much money on a party?
I mean,
little did I know.
I went to a bar mitzvah every weekend.
Crazy.
And while my bar mitzvah specifically wasn't the most extravagant, my bar mitzvah was kind of in the middle of the level of extravagance. I went to a couple that were batshit. I mean, that were probably knocking on the door of like $1 million or like crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, it was insane. It was. It absolutely was. That's not.
Totally insane.
That's not something I would be like proud of. Like
no, and it's just relative. Yeah. And someone's like, "Well, I have $400 million, and I'm good, and I make $30 million a year."
Yeah.
Oh, sure, let's go for it.
Yeah.
But man, what a precedent to set for your kid.
I mean, I've said this a bunch on this show and in other places. I went to middle and high school with the children of the worst people imaginable. Like everybody who wrecked the economy in 2008 and the Sacklers. I went to school with all their kids. Wow. And, they didn't do that shit until like a little later. Like the Sacklers in the 90s, Sacklers weren't a problem.
They were still trying to figure out how to really sell it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they were probably terrible, but like it wasn't like Oxy. That happened like a couple of years later, and the people who crashed the economy, that was a couple of years later. Oh, and fucking Judge Jeanine Pirro's daughter, I went to school with her.
Who's that?
The fucking psycho on Fox News who was Judge Janine. You've never heard of Judge Janine? Mm-mm. Consider yourself very lucky. She was the corrupt DA in Westchester County, which is where I lived, and her daughter went to school with me. And her husband went to jail for tax evasion while she was the DA.
Wow.
34 counts. Shout out to him, Al Piro. And now she's a fucking screaming lunatic on Fox News.
Now she's a pundit.
Yeah. So, like, pick a terrible person from New York. I went to school with their kids. Yeah. So, like, I know. So these are the bar mitzvahs I was going to.
Right.
The fucking heads of investment banks and fucking corrupt politicians and crazy shit. But, like, you know, Tommy was just fucking Tommy. I don't know.
Right,
What,
of course.
what do you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's like if from your town, you're like, oh, so-and-so became a murderer. And you're like, but their kid was so nice.
Yeah.
Or they were nice. Like,
yeah.
You know.
It was fucking craziness.
I have a quick fleet update also. The Dremel that Vinny brought worked. I needed it.
Yeah, when you last heard from us, Zach was about to Dremel his car.
I was about to Dremel a fitting on my car, and it worked, but there's no way it would have happened without cutting that stupid thing apart. So that's good.
Okay, cool.
And then, as I've talked about before, I got these tartan samples from a Scotland shop because I want to do interior bits.
Hell yeah.
And
if you're going to get tartan, Scottish tartan, it must be.
But some people, I've had comments in every direction about color and also placement. So some folks like Vinny and my friend Ryan, they're like, if you put plaid on the A-pillars, it can actually make the car feel claustrophobic or...
Are your A-pillars light or dark now?
Right now they're dark. They were kind of a dove gray. We talked about this on the show about, like, I was going to only do B-pillars.
Yeah. And
you wisely advised, like, but then you're only getting, like, a tiny glimpse. So maybe there's other places you can put them. So this guy, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Abimelech Design, who does really cool, like, renders, kind of like Kaisa does.
Yeah, a little more. Ooh, his Crown Vic looked all right.
Go up
to that Crown Vic on the right.
Yeah, how sick is this?
10 out of 10. By the way, did you know that there's spec Crown Vic racing now?
Like, not just at Cletus's place?
No, like, yeah. Like, it's like an SCCA or NASA, like, class.
I'm so happy
I'd met a guy who has a Crown Vic proper race car.
Manual swap, or does he keep it auto?
You can, there's one class that's stock powertrain.
Oh, boy.
And then there's another class that's, like, got an awesome name. I want to say it's, like, Super Interceptor fucking or something like that, where you're allowed to run a manual swap.
Dude.
Yeah.
We need to get on that Cletus train. We got to get on that list.
Yeah.
And I think he's got a race.
If I had known that Ultima race was happening, I probably would.
Well, the Crown Vic one is coming up in April, I think.
Okay.
I think it's the first week of April. Yeah, this thing's hot. So,
okay.
Anyway,
this guy's fucking
he
with
said,
your
hey,
interior.
man, send me pictures of the Tartans, and I'll put them on A-pillars, and you can get an idea of it. So I haven't looked at these yet, so we're doing this live.
Oh, real time.
Real time. So
we've got, this is a good rendering.
Now, there's a bunch of different tartans. Like, we don't have to choose a tartan necessarily, but this is more. I wanted to look at how it would feel to stare at A-pillars.
To stare at a tartan
and if it might give me
A-pillar.
epileptic seizure while driving.
Definitely, you want to consider your pattern, for where they are. I mean, the A-pillar it's right there all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think seeing these tells me that I might only do B and C pillars.
You don't want to look at that.
I don't think I want to look at this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine.
But
you know what? I like it. I would do it. And while I was at it, I might do my door inserts.
The door inserts, I'm tempted.
Yeah.
Like, if I did B-pillar and door inserts.
Yeah, tartan door inserts are fucking sick, dude.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I also...
How are your seats?
Can
Can we take this to its logical conclusion?
Of what?
How are your seats?
How are my seats?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Are they in need of tartan?
No, like the leather's held up.
Yeah.
But, we could do it. Definitely could do it.
But while you're in there,
right, while you're in there,
you're not just going to do the inserts with 135,000 mile outer leather.
Wait,
this is where we buy Recaro seats. And
That's
cover
the
them
real
in tartan.
move.
Yeah,
because honestly, the shape. This is so nerdy, but like the shape of the E46 seat is good, but the actual shape of the leather panels on it are kind of like oblong round. Like, they don't match the exterior of the car. And I think if you cut them out and replace them with a plaid, you would have like a plaid circle in the middle of the seat. Whereas a Recaro, it's a nice rectangle. It's an insert.
Yeah.
So that makes me want to get Recaros and put them in there. But
the problem with getting Recaros is then it kind of eliminates your back seat. You can't fold them.
Right, which I do use. And like I fold my seats and I put the dog in there. Yeah,
Tucker goes back there.
I would need a folding Recaro of some kind.
But you know what could be dope?
Look, black
What about the
A-pillar.
back of your headrests?
That could be cool.
That could be sick.
And I think I could do the seat pillars also because I'd only see that when I'm looking in the rear view.
That could be kind of fun.
So, but I think so. Here, look, black A pillar, just B pillar. And
That's not it's not bad. I would go all the way and do A pillar. Yeah, I would go A pillar. But if it bothers you, you definitely don't want to experiment with something you have to stare at.
And it's my only car. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Like if I had 5 cars, I could probably go. All right, sometimes I do this, but I don't know. It's hard.
It's a fun thing though. I would say ditch the A pillar if it's going to bother you and do door cards. Do your door centers. Because that's pretty fun. And then maybe your shifter boot to tie it together.
I could do that. I just got a new shifter boot as a gift from a good friend of ours. And I'm like, ooh, I'd feel a little bad. But it would make the most sense because you kind of tie the middle. You know, it's a bridge.
Yeah.
So I might have to do that and just
I think that this tartan that you've got here, which looks like to be me. This is probably going to be wrong. For me, it looks green, blue, yellow, and white.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, okay, I got that right.
Yeah.
Wow, colorblind man, good.
Are you not colorblind? Have you been lying about it all this whole time?
I'm cured!
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all the tartans are very similar. So I bought a first set of swatches, and then some guy who's like a color theory nerd, he goes, hey, man, your wrap is actually more of a bluish green. You ordered a bunch of foresty greens. You should switch those out. So I ordered new swatches, which I agree. He was right. So they're all very close. It's more about like accent stripes and shit. So,
I think this one is fun though. But that's cool. I think that's a good idea. But yeah, we really tie the vehicle together. That's all right.
Put a rug in.
Today, because we podcasted yesterday and not a lot, although I guess more things than I thought would have happened. Half an hour worth of things happened in between yesterday and today. Oh,
I'm just kidding. Let's not do it.
Yikes. The word union's funny. I am so excited to cook hibachi for Gareth and Dave on Saturday. It is going to be
that's this Saturday,
hilarious. Yeah, we're gonna cook. We're gonna do Benihana. The question is, do I do it 100% Benihana accurate, or do I make some of my own improvements and adjustments?
How big would the adjustments be?
I mean, minor. Like I might upgrade the steak to something like awesome instead of like what Benihana uses, which is pretty average quality.
Yeah, you could do that. It wouldn't be. I was thinking like you don't want to. It's hard because you're telling them you're making it according to Benihana.
Yeah, and I can.
So you want them to go. This is Benihana.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, don't like alter the sauce.
No,
or
I
get
can.
Crazy.
No.
Okay.
The secret to making Benihana at home, on top of like going to Benihana and learning how to make it, is actually just to buy the sauce from Benihana.
Oh, really?
You can make the sauce at home. It's shockingly annoying. There's so many ingredients. It takes a really long time. Like, I love cooking, but it's so much easier to walk into Benihana and go 2 quarts of ginger, 2 quarts of mustard, and they go $20, and you go, thanks.
Yeah, because they have a factory somewhere with a bunch of tanks that dump it into like one little bottle.
It's really funny. I walk in there because I'm an early morning person, and I'm not going to Benihana to eat. I'm going to buy the sauce. They open at 10 or some silly number. Like, no one's going to Benihana on Tuesday at 10, but that's when they open, I guess. So there's a guy at the front desk, and the place is a ghost town. I walk in, the guy looks at me like, why are you even here?
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen a customer at this part of my shift since 2022.
Yeah. You guys got muffins?
And I'm just like, quart of mustard, quart of ginger. And the guy gives me the nod. He's like, I'll be back.
Yeah.
That's the shit, dude. Benihana University. Do it. So the Lotus Amira, which has an engine from Mercedes, got us thinking about what other cars were good that used engines from other manufacturers, from other places. And it occurred to me that of my 5 choices of cool cars that use engines from other manufacturers, 4 of the 5 never made their own engines at all. The companies only got engines from other places. I don't know if that devalues my choices versus like, I don't know, like the there's a current like there's a Mazda like crossover right now that uses a RAV4 engine. You know what I mean? Like that.
Okay.
Like Mazda makes its own engines,
but they chose this one.
So mine are mainly from companies that do not manufacture their own engines at all.
Okay, mine are mixed.
Okay.
Mine are a mixed bag. Yeah, I had Lotus in there, but we already talked about it, so
All right, well,
that'll be an honorable mention.
I mean, I actually also put the Lotus Amira, but I put the V6.
Yes, correct. Me
That
too.
actually, Lotus's use of the Camry engine in general is pretty epic.
Yeah.
It makes great power. It sounds really good. It feels sporty.
Super reliable.
Yeah. And if someone didn't tell you that that was a Camry engine, you probably wouldn't know.
And I think that car, the Elise, the Exige, all of them, they have so much character anyway, like from the weight and the handling and the way they look and just all of that, that the engine, it doesn't need to be out in front as the most like memorable thing about the car.
Yeah.
Like I think that car would work with a V6 from anywhere, but choosing a reliable one means you can track this car. You can drive this car. You can use it the way it was intended a lot without going, it's good for that, but you got to be really careful with it.
Yeah.
Like that would actually, it's like this is the mid-engine Miata, and so you want it to have an engine as reliable as that.
Yeah, like we've seen Lotus with Lotus engines. They're called Esprits,
Yeah.
and you don't want one.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, that's not what they do.
Yeah.
So let them do what they do and get an unkillable engine
Yeah.
and put it in there.
Let it get out of its own way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have next?
I have the Maserati Gran Turismo / F430. So the Ferrari F136 engine.
Yeah.
Which was developed put together, built by Ferrari, but pretty much the only really memorable thing about any Maserati is that they sound amazing. And they look good, some of them. But that engine was used in the early 2000s Gran Turismo, also in the Alpha 8C, which is a car that people don't really talk about.
Yeah, because it drives like Garbaggio.
Right, but it sounds like Magiccio.
It sounds like a Gran Turismo.
It sounds great.
It's
and
good,
it also
which is
looks
good.
Amazing. And then the engine was used in the F430, the Scud. It eventually got turbos and was used in the 458. So that is a pretty awesome engine.
Yeah, I'll give it to you, even though that's more of a family of engines.
Fair.
Like I have a one that is the Lancia Thema 3.2, which literally they took the Ferrari 328 powertrain and put it in the front of a Lancia sedan. So it is a transverse V8 3.2 liter actual Ferrari engine, Thema 3.2, THEMA. And it is not a great looking car. It's not a terrible looking car. It looks like one would expect an 80s Lancia.
This looks like a Jetta.
It's a
bro.
two-box. Yeah, it's
It
a
looks like
two-box
a Mark
whatever.
III Jetta
Yeah.
with a Ferrari V8 in the front. That's very
It's
cool.
got, it has Ferrari-esque wheels. That looks kind of... No, the wheels of a 348, an early 348, look a lot like that. Seriously.
All right.
Look up a 1991 Ferrari 348 and tell me the wheels don't look a lot like that. They do. The spokes are a little fatter on the sedan, but it's similar.
It's similar. I think it's because the wheel is smaller on the Lancia. So
Yeah, it's probably like a 15.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, that has an actual Ferrari 328 powertrain in the front of it,
That's a good one.
which is funky as hell.
That is a good one.
Yeah. What else you got?
All right, the Koenigsegg CC8S, 4.6 modular Ford engine,
Yeah.
also shared with the greatest car in the world, the Ford Crown Victoria. You can't
Yeah.
escape it; it's everywhere.
No, it's the 4.6. You can't. Will outlive us all.
yeah, and then of course, like Koenigsegg did a bunch of things to it, and then
It was
eventually
really
made their
just
own
like
engines.
the block,
Sure, but
right?
yeah,
Because Koenigsegg's had dual overhead cams.
They did.
They had turbos. They
Yeah.
had a lot. But yes,
it wasn't
block.
the engine. This one's a bit of a stretch, maybe
Yeah.
compared to some of the others, but I just thought it was pretty funny, especially because other supercars like Ultimate GTR uses the LS engine. And
They
so
use whatever the fuck you put in there.
that's a good point. But but it's basically LSs for a long time.
Yeah.
But
Once the LS
still.
came out, it was then just in everything. Yeah, that's a good one though. I do like it. Yeah, I have all Paganis. You don't even have to. You pick one. I mean, you can pick one of the R. Although a lot of the Zonda and Huayra Rs, like the track day crazy ones, those actually are not they're built by like other people. They're built by like the racing, like not. I'm blanking. It's not Dallara, but it's like a place that does like race cars, like actually builds those. But the all road going Paganis use a version of that Mercedes V12 up to and including the new Utopia, which I reviewed for last month's Road and Track, and they're all great. They make a bunch of power. They sound really cool. You know,
True.
it's a very it's never stopped anybody from buying a Pagani.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I thought about using that, but what I don't like about that car is that they rev to like 6,500. A lot of them.
Yeah.
The red line is very Corvette LS, which I find disappointing in terms of exotic cars.
Sure. Well, that engine is from luxury cars.
Right.
It's not
very true.
And those track day ones that rev like crazy high, like I said, they're using a different version of that.
Are they just using the block and they're putting other
There's
stuff
a lot.
on it?
Yeah, they turn it into a racing engine. It's like a completely different. What?
Because you were giving me shit that Koenigsegg just uses the block of the 4.6.
I wasn't giving you shit.
It's okay.
That wasn't shit. That was
whatever.
just like they didn't just drop in a Ford engine and
Very
put
true.
turbos on it. They heavily revised it.
very true.
Which is the same thing. I'm not saying it doesn't belong on the list. It's the same thing that happens with the Wyra R and stuff like that. It's like,
look, I mean, this is a subjective list anyway, so we can play with the rules as we play the game.
it's not Cosworth. It's not Michelotto. It's like, but it's one of those places that just builds race cars. Okay, what else?
I wrote like 7 and then I'll choose from them. I mean, this is like a family thing, but I like. I'll go back to speaking of AMG, the new Aston Martin Vantage, the newest one, the 2024, not the one before it, which I know both of them use the 4-liter twin turbo V8, basically from Mercedes, handed over, shipped over on a boat, and they bolted it. But I felt like the previous generation Vantage always felt slower. Maybe it's subjective, than the equivalent AMG GT. And with the new one, like 500 and whatever, 600.
No, it's 615
horsepower or something, 652.
It's over 6.
Like, it's fast as shit.
Yeah.
It sounds awesome. It's a great fit for the car. And it's like, leave Aston to do things Aston does well, kind of like Lotus. Let them design the thing and make it pretty and better inside, which they did. Leave the power plant to Mercedes, and they gave them a good one.
Yeah. That's actually, I mean, it's funny because Aston Martin, their engines are always sort of based on Ford architecture. The V12 was like 3-liter Mondeo V6s put together. Their Vantage engine before, the naturally aspirated one, was like sort of based on the Jaguar Lincoln engine architecture, but like punched out. So they were actually, when they were making their own engines, even based on the Ford architecture, those were pretty good engines. The V12 was a pretty good engine. The Vantage's V8 was a pretty good engine. The Mercedes ones are obviously more powerful, more modern, and all that stuff, and probably objectively better. But it's not like they were Lotus making like real shitty engines before. Their in-house engines were like pretty good.
They were exciting. They were exciting engines. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the V8 they were making, the Tadek Merrick V8 that went in like all the DBS from like the 70s through the V8 Vantage and the Lagonda of the late 80s into the early 90s, like that was actually a pretty good engine too.
How much power did that make back in the 80s? Because nothing made power.
Like an X-Pac car that we talk about all the time, I think it was about 385 horsepower. Like they went pretty good.
On the Vantage one?
Yeah.
Yeah, those had a lot going on.
Yeah, they were cool. I have the Spiker C8. Use the Audi 4.2-liter V8. Sadly, it wasn't the RS4's V8. It was the S4's V8. But I know of a couple of people who've done RS4/R8 V8 engine swaps into Spikers.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it's like 80 more horsepower and a bunch more revs, and apparently it's a fairly direct swap. It's mostly the same engine. I was just starting to do this job when Vinny Russo was the head of PR at Spiker. And so we got to do a bunch of miles in those Spiker press cars, and they were fun as shit.
They look so cool. I would buy one so fast.
They're so fun to drive. They really are. They were actually put together pretty well. They were the engagement was really high. I mean, I wouldn't want to take one to like a track day, but for like cruising around and just like brop, brop, and just like it was rad.
Good canyon car. Like for A810s, oh my God, nothing looks like them.
Yeah.
Nothing.
They were so cool. Yeah.
I think this is my last one. The Noble M600, the first one, used a 4.4 liter V8 from who? They added turbos. Yamaha added turbos, but the engine was from Volvo.
The M600 was the Volvo XC90.
XC90.
Yeah.
And I also, there's kind of a tie.
Wasn't that engine developed by Yamaha?
Yeah, Yamaha took it from Volvo, and then they put turbos on it.
No, but
and,
wasn't
like,
it developed by Yamaha in the XC90?
Ooh, I don't know.
I think it was.
I don't know.
I think that's one of those things that people talk about, like the
Like
SHO.
the SHO. That was
same
on
thing.
my deeper on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my boat had SHO engines. My parents' Whaler in Spring Island, the original it doesn't have the original engines. They came in 2001 when we got that boat. Yamaha 225 4-stroke offshore outboard engines were literally seawater cooled SHO engines with a different cam profile designed to rev, all day at 5,000 RPM like you do in a boat.
It was super cool.
They were the fucking best boat engines imaginable. They were so smooth, had tons of torque, loved to rev, so powerful, and they were dead to nuts reliable for 18 years until, as happens with outboards, the seawater corroded the wiring harnesses.
I wonder why more people don't swap that engine into shit. I wonder if the engine's hard to find. Not the boat engine version,
the car
one. Or there's just other options now that make more power.
I feel like you could probably, an LS would take up the same amount of space in your engine bay and make more power.
Or a modern Camry V6 makes like 300 horsepower, so it makes like 80 more. And
great
similar
marine engine,
similar swap is that the Morgan Aero Plus 8 uses the 4.4 liter from BMW.
The BMW engine, the Morgan. Yeah, BMW V8 and the Morgan does make sense. I drove one of the Aero, it was either Aero Super Sports or Aero Max in England and had side pipes. Yeah. And that BMW V8 with side pipes was pretty goddamn good.
Yeah.
Glub, glub. Heavy glub, glub.
Yeah.
Pretty nasty little thing.
And the engine, I think, fits that car. It's like a grand touring, sporting Gatsby thing. And, the BMW V8 is like a smooth, luxury GT engine.
Yeah.
That one's good.
The interior of the one of the Morgan I drove was about as close as I've ever seen to a Spiker.
Oh.
It was the whole just engine turned fucking aluminum all over the place and big heavy milled speaker grills, and it was an automatic, but it had the shifter was set up to be sort of a sequential, you'd slide it over and it was that, and it was a nice milled gate. It was fucking real cool.
I would buy one of those so fast.
Yeah. How long until you can import them? Because they were not federalized. So you'd have
they were early 2000, right?
3, 4, 5 maybe.
Soon.
Yeah. Jeff Dunham had the early one, an Aero 8, which was federalized. And they're pretty cool, but you want the
Plus.
Super Sports.
Yeah, I think it's the Super Sports.
No, the Aero Super Sports or the Aero Max is like the crazy shit one. They would be so expensive. Last one on my list, very kind of obvious, Di Tommaso Pantera.
Good one.
Used the Ford 351, which was, used in all kinds of shit in the 70s, 60s and 70s. What was so great about the Pantera's version of that Ford engine, and what so many people get wrong when modifying and restoring Panteras is it had a very small cam profile, so it revved beautifully and smoothly. And bless you. And it almost felt like a modern German V8, like out of a 928, more than a Mustang engine. And when people put these fucking hot roddy chopper cams in them and turn them into like muscle cars, basically.
Or nitrous and stuff.
I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. Customize your Pantera all you want, but like I've driven some modified ones and I've driven the stock ones, and the stock ones are so much better. Like really, really, they drive like. Kind of like Countach's, actually, which is good.
Well, it's like the engine in that case can dictate the character of the car.
Yeah.
And it's an Italian-designed car, and they kind of put this Italian V8 feel to it with this high-revving, smooth thing. And if you change it to go supercharger or big block kind of cammy Detroit stuff, which is cool, it just changes what that car kind of feels like.
Yeah. So if someone was going to hot rod one of those things, which I generally support, I guess, you'd want to get like a Coyote motor
Yeah.
or something that's smooth and revs. You don't want a hot rod engine in there. It just will fuck it all up.
I think having a low revving engine in a mid-engine car, it just doesn't work in my brain.
Yeah. So I leave a comment if you want. Let's see if you've got a better. I like that we had we had one overlap. Lotus was our one.
Otherwise,
overlap, but
pretty good.
Otherwise, a pretty good spread there. Leave a comment. Let us know if you have a good one that we missed. And let's get to the people. The Patreon is open. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. If you want to ask questions for the show, if you want to get the show live, get the show early, get the show without ads, get extra show, get early access to collabs and things such as the Green Dial Notice Canyon watch that I'm wearing today. Comes out in April. Very excited. It's so dope, you guys. The Green Dial is fucking so sick.
It's really nice.
Do you want one?
Kind of.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty rad. I like green shit. It
All right.
looked really good.
I didn't know you wanted one.
No, I know. And when you showed it to me, my brain was like, I don't need another watch. Like I have whatever four I don't wear.
You're now at that point.
And then I was like, but it does look really nice.
Yeah. No one needs another watch, but you want it.
I understand how this slope happens. It's happened with other hobbies of mine. So, yeah.
Watches don't take up space though. It's easy to,
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But if you want one, I'll get you one. Yeah. But this green
it's really good
is super, super sick.
It's the gradient color. It works on all of them. And I don't think I've seen that. I don't know watches that well, but I haven't seen it commonly where the color like transitions from lighter to dark on the edges. It looks really cool.
It worked great on the mint green. And it works really good on this one too. So, and then the very last one, we're doing 100 of these individually numbered. We're doing 50 of the very super special ones at the end, and then that's going to be the end of this line of watches.
Those are made of stem cells, right?
Yes,
very
it's
rare.
It's the Project Veritas edition.
Peter Thiel bought all of them.
It's the collab with Curtis Yarvin, Peter Thiel, and Project Veritas.
Crotochrome. What is the stuff they try to drink?
Oh yeah, adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome.
This is our new dial. It's made of an adrenochrome. The good news is the lume is super bright. The bad news is it makes you trip balls and turn into a snake.
Assembled in Chernobyl.
Yeah. It would be fun if someone had a watch with like a stealth back that you could put the poison in. You undo the crown and maybe like you could do the poison dump somehow.
Yeah. James Bond.
I don't know. I think about how to smuggle acid all the time. Don't you? No.
It's like waterproof to 300 meters, but also on the inside.
Waterproof ratings are so funny. Let's see what the people say. Sloppy Toppy 5000. Which company deserves to be put out of its misery first? Jaguar, Nissan, Chrysler, or Maserati? Chrysler.
They make one car.
Got one car.
Yeah.
And that car could be branded anything else in their portfolio, and nobody would give a fuck.
Yeah, they would still sell them. They'd be in rental fleets, minivan. It's a good minivan, but that's all they have.
Yeah. What are we doing over here?
Yeah.
Fucking take it out back. Let's go.
Yeah, there's too many brands. The list of American car companies has always been like shockingly large.
Yeah.
And all right, they don't all have to exist forever.
I'm sorry, Timmy. Chrysler's had a good life. He's been a very good boy, but he's down to just one minivan, and, well, that's just the way things go sometimes.
None of the legs of his industry work anymore.
The leaked bow pub or bow pub? Is that a sailing reference or an archery reference?
Sailing, that's a question for you.
Well, leaked is a water thing, so let's say leaked bow pub. What is your pain threshold for maintenance and costs to own for a daily driver? I love my Mark 7 GTI, but it seems the last few years I can't go 6 to 8 months without something terrible happening. And then lists off a bunch of bad things that happen. I mean, it's extremely low, as we just learned in my Bentley things. I mean, I am happy to deal with old sports car bullshit, but I need to have a daily driver that is not going to fight me on stuff. I got too much time. Can't be dealing with that bullshit ever. You obviously don't feel the same way.
I feel different, but I also
you have an E46 M3.
Right, but I also have press cars and a wife with a reliable car. If I didn't, I would own a reliable car.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. Like, there's just, as life gets busier, you can't be stuck dealing with stuff and go, I can't make it because my car broke or whatever.
Yeah.
And it can also end up, like, costing you a ton of money. Like, I still like my car a lot, but if it was, no offense, like, I like Mark 7 GTIs, but there's other GTIs that do the same thing and other front-wheel drive cars that are newer that do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I might hit a point where I'm spending too much money or too much time, and I could get a newer version that would work better or have a warranty.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm losing that character of car.
I agree completely. My pain threshold, not necessarily financially, but for shit going wrong when I need the car to work properly, is pretty fucking low. And even with the Bentley, I didn't mind. I don't want to say I didn't mind because it was really expensive, but like spending money on the car is one thing. The car being down for shit is a different story. And so as expensive as it was to drive the Bentley for the year, it really wasn't down very much at all. And so that's good. That would have driven me nuts if it was sitting over at Charlie's for 3 weeks waiting for parts. Silence of the Lambo. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. What was the sentiment around the Dodge Neon SRT-4 back in the day? Were they good cars, and has time been kind to them? They were pretty much like fast shit boxes, right? Like they, the Neon was not a great car, but SRT was capable of making them go pretty fast.
Yeah.
And they did.
I was in steeped in Subaru community at the time, and so there was a big rivalry, and they would call it the faster. And like, oh, it's front wheel drive only. That's super lame, which I know now is a dumb idea. But they were known for being able to make. They were fast, and they could make big power with simple modifications, which boxer engines could not do as well.
Yeah, and they weren't horrible to drive, but just like any Chrysler product from that era, they were just...
Wasn't that the Ford G63 engine, same as Mitsubishi?
I think it was related to the Mitsubishi engine, if not exactly the same. I could not... I'm sure you'll be able to tell me soon, but I knew a couple people that had them, and they would tune the fucking shit out of them, and they would do long front-wheel drive burnouts.
Yeah, they did a lot of that. Watching them drag race was funny because obviously just wheel spin. But and now when I see them around, they could look kind of tough. I think they did a good design job turning a Neon into something that looked kind of tough. All the front apron, the side skirts, it looked cool.
It wasn't bad looking. And actually, the first-gen Neon ACR is actually like a DL autocross monster. It has no power, but an incredible chassis, and they can put up some pretty amazing times on autocrosses. I think time will be kinder to the Neon. Like if I saw a mint SRT-4 Neon today, I would be like, respect.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
The engine is a Mopar engine. I was wrong. The turbo, though, came from Mitsubishi. So.
Oh, okay. Well, a lot of turbos come from Mitsubishi.
Yeah.
Dodney Rangerfield. That's pretty good. Where do you see Rivian in 5 years? My wife and I test drove a tri-motor yesterday. It was insane. The R2 seems like it will align better in terms of value. Will Rivian bring its quality up or price down to balance its value, or do the capitalist thing of giving you less for your dollar? I think Rivian is pretty well set up for, long-term success. I think that starts with building high-quality products that people really like, which I think they overwhelmingly do. Mm-hmm. The fact that Elon is a Nazi, I think will help Rivian in the short and long term. And I think them having more than one vehicle will really help. 5-passenger SUVs are more popular than 7-passenger SUVs, and that R3 thing looks fucking sick.
Right. That got the enthusiast community excited and the smaller car community excited. I think they've done a couple things right off the bat that are hard. They have a product a lot of people like. They have a dedicated fan base already. They have a cool factor, and the execution of the vehicles inside and out and the way they drive is pretty damn good. I know they have reliability issues, but it's not like other luxury companies don't have reliability issues and still have a dedicated fan base. So that's not going to necessarily chase away everybody. and kind of sink your ship. Plus, they have partnership with Volkswagen and other big companies.
Yeah.
So they hopefully are well funded enough, because I know that's been a bit of a struggle for them.
Yeah. To me, it all starts with the product. I don't really know what's going behind the scenes. I don't really know what the stock is doing. I don't know what the executives are doing. But I've driven the cars. A lot of people in my neighborhood in this city have them. People love them. You definitely hear some reliability stories, but it always starts with good product. Unless you're just lying to people. If you want to survive, you make good product. If you want your company to be valued more than all other automakers put together, you just lie and get away with it. So there's that. You could also just do that.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it, but if you want to win capitalism, shameless lying.
Hopefully there's no wrenches thrown in Rivian's gears by people that are looking for efficiency now. Because I say that not speculatively, they talked about that, I think, right after inauguration. It was we're going to look into this Rivian financing. There
was some kind of loan or a deal, a finance deal that they could possibly make go away. Well, we'll see where the tipping point is, but we're not there yet. By the way, shout out to Michigan State Senator Mallory McMorrow, who used to be in the car business and is a state senator in Michigan now, married to Ray Wirt, former editor of Jalopnik.
Wow, okay.
And she actually called yesterday about, because I've donated to her campaign in the past, and she called, and I was like, "Are you scared?" And she was like, "Not yet." She's like, because elections are run by states, and it would just be really, really hard to control all of that. Not that he doesn't want to, but that it would actually be really hard to do. And she's a state senator, which is a person of influence and power, and she didn't seem too freaked out. So I was like, okay, I'll take that under advisement.
All right. That'll help me sleep. Yeah.
That'll help me sleep for a day or two. Then they'll do something terrible, and then I'll won't again. Can't wait for Benihana on Saturday. Avant to go fast. I like that.
That's a
Man,
good one.
we have a very creative username base. Was there a first mod you had to do to the Taycan to make it your own? I mean, yes, we've already started that. We should cut that Instagram reel together. I knew from day one we had to get new wheels, and they are being made by HRE right now. We'll probably have an Instagram reel up in the next couple of days showing the process of selecting the wheels, which is pretty fun. And they're going to look fucking so sick.
Yeah, they're cool.
And then my homie down at R Strada in Torrance, who's my sort of go-to for what you would call OEM plus mods. He did my side scoops and my brake calipers on the Spider. He's going to do the clear Euro corners like the Spider. We've got the fender arches from the Taycan Turbo, which are painted, not Subaru Outback black, and we're going to paint them white to match the car. And then that with the wheels, I think will be in really good shape. That'll look really nice. And I just did the license plate sticker, which I got from the state. I applied for it, so I have the letter. So it's not as good as no front plate, but way better than a real front plate. So I had 405 motoring, do it with the, make it nice. So because it's curvy, it's two intersecting curves. So a compound curve, excuse me. So I couldn't just do it at home. But they did it in 10 minutes.
Yeah, they're pros.
So yeah, I think that's all we really need to do. The Taycan, I don't think needs anything else.
You're not going to fiddle with the battery and try to get some extra power? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
plug a laptop in.
That car's so fucking great. The ride is so great, and just sitting in that 18-way seat with that driving position and that ride quality, God, I fucking love it. It's so great. Lemonhead, in honor of Zach's underdrive pulley, what is the most dirtbag performance mod for a street car? Okay, before we get to this morning I come in to work, and Eric, my general manager, is here. He has an awesome 03 Lightning. It's got the choice mods. It's the right color. It's a rare color. Very low miles. I think it's 30 or 40,000 miles. It's fucking mint. but he had driven it to work yesterday and was driving it home, and the traffic was really bad. And he's like, yeah, when I come to a stop in traffic, it's like, he goes, it's almost like the dash lights get dim. And I go, Eric, do you have underdrive pulleys? And he goes, yeah. And I go, get rid of the underdrive pulleys.
Yeah, your alternator's struggling.
And on a supercharged car, you really don't want to fucking do underdrive pulleys on a car with a supercharger.
My alternator had the OEM pulley size, but it had different pulleys on the water pump and the main water drive. Pump. Yeah.
So the math ends up being the same.
Well, I think the alternator is going to be spinning at the same speed. That's why the diameter of the pulleys is different, right?
I think if you change the other pulleys, it changes the speed of the belt, which changes the speed of the alternator. I don't think you need to actually change the alternator pulley itself.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Good point.
Like if you're on a bicycle and has front gears and back gears.
Right. The larger gear, so it's spinning. Yeah. It's moving slower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I wonder if Yeah.
But it's just funny that happened 2 days in a row. So anyway, what is the most dirtbag performance mod? Like speed holes are pretty dirtbag.
Speed holes on the bumper, unless you really race a lot, are dumb. My new favorite are cheap wings bolted to a trunk, but the wing is angled up. So that it is creating lots of lift.
That goes beyond dirtbag. That's like where you literally don't know how the thing works that you've put on your car.
Yeah.
Dirtbag is like, I see it more as like, how do I improve performance without spending any money?
How do you think you? No.
How do you?
How do you perceive to improve performance, but you actually might make it worse?
My choice would be the removal of like interior bits that are actually pretty light. Like I took the entire interior out of like my Fox body, and when I took everything out, I like picked it all up, and I was like, so now I have like no sound deadening, and I've saved like 16 pounds because it just wasn't made of anything.
Yeah, that's a bad one. I think removing muffler.
Oh, yeah.
I would say removing your muffler or drilling holes in it or something like that.
Or just like removing cats.
That's also super
like removing
stupid.
cats is real grimy.
Yeah, especially because you can buy high flow cats.
Yeah. Blurple, what era of car culture had the best clothing associated with it? Oh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, you've got your like early, like we were doing the Audrain thing, like your Motorman shit. Then you've got
very baggy back then.
Right. Then you've got sort of like the Fonz, where you've got your jeans, boots, leather jacket. You're sort of James Dean era.
Right. Everyone wore kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Then you've got your McQueen era, where it was the turtlenecks, shit.
I think it depends, but sports cars in the 70s, you had McQueen turtleneck, but if you stayed in the muscle car area, you still had like beer T-shirts, bell bottoms, like mutton chops, stuff like that.
The homies in the 80s with the sidekicks on Dayton's, they knew how to dress. The fucking New Jack City, basically. Wesley Snipes, New Jack City. There's that, which was pretty fun. I could obviously never be for reasons that are obvious, but like it was cool.
I think the 90s was bad.
90s was bad. It was just bad. For everyone, for pretty much everybody, right? And then like now. I mean, car culture and clothing don't usually go. It's not you don't find fashionable people at car meets very often.
Well, it's also fashion is larger than car culture. Like the fashion that people were wearing in the 50s wasn't just related to cars. It was like everyone was probably dressing like that. Or the 70s, bell bottoms, everyone was dressing like that. So it just happened to like coexist with that time.
Yeah, so like the best crossover of car style and it's probably 50s, early 60s, like literally like James Dean era. I think that was a pretty cool look, and the cars looked great too.
Yeah, I think so. I think the 70s were also pretty cool because you had a lot of. The 70s were cool because you had more color on cars and T-shirts.
Yeah,
and people got really psychedelic with like Vans and shit like that. A lot of creative thought.
Or like, how about like when Billy Madison pulls up to the high school
REO
in the
Speedwagon shirt.
Yeah, with the fucking,
Love that moment.
The cutoff.
It's like
Every time
pops the
that song
jacket.
comes on the radio,
I know.
I'm fucking like, find me a high school.
Yeah. Nice car, loser. Such a good scene. He's like, alrighty then.
Imagine that fucking guy. Billy fucking Madison is now so powerful and successful that he can wear basketball shorts to the Oscars.
Oh, like, yeah. The actual
Awesome.
actor,
Just
for sure.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And with range. He's got a lot of range.
He's good actor, and
that
he
Adam
doesn't care
Sandler.
about fashion at all. Yeah.
He's awesome. I'd love to be that kind of fucking rich guy. That's great. Matt's Hard Nah, which is a great fucking username too.
Hard Nah.
Any examples of beautiful cars that don't get enough attention? The Ferrari 288 GTO is jaw-droppingly gorgeous, and no one seems to talk about it. You know who talks about the GTO? Fucking RM auctions, because them things sell for like $4 million.
Yeah.
I don't think the GTO is that overlooked, my friend.
No.
I think those are deep in the seven figures.
I think it's not filmed a lot because
Yeah.
there are not many of them, and they're so expensive, so you think it's not talked about a lot.
Right.
But
And in terms of culture, the F40 had more impact than the GTO.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of collectability, a GTO is almost 2x an F40. So the people who know very well what a GTO is. But the question isn't about the GTO. The question is about other examples of cars that don't get talked about enough. I think the BMW M1 is a great car. It looks great. I've driven it a bunch. It drives great. It's not crazy fast, but it's more than adequate speed for modern driving. It looks really cool. If you roll up to a car show with one, I guarantee you're the only person there with one of those.
performed pretty well.
It's a Giugiaro design. I mean, this was originally going to be a Lamborghini, and it was only when Lamborghini bailed out that BMW picked up the pieces and put their own name on the thing. I don't know what that photo is, but that could very well be BMW's car that I drove in South Carolina, and it was rad as hell.
I would add the Alpha 8C because they don't talk about it because they drive like garbage, but I love them.
Okay, Levi Sinclair. In honor of Zuckerman's choices of car purchases, the year is 2040. What SUV, sedan, and sports car are you rolling to cosplay rich guy from 30 years ago because you have the money? Now, I like this question. So a sedan, a sports car, and an SUV from 2000 to 2010, but it's in 40 years. So they're going to be classics.
Right.
So I would say the 09-10 Bentley Mulsanne, which was the last car with the 6 3/4 twin turbo V8 Bentley, which was like $400,000 when it was new. I would say 2000 to 2010. I would do a one BMW X5 4.8 IS. And sports car, I would have to do a Ferrari 575M with a manual gearbox.
Yeah, that's
and the
a good
handling package.
I think I will go with that car's rival, which was it Vanquish?
That was a Vanquish.
Vanquish or DBS.
DBS was 09, so you would have had
DBS that would squeak in.
It would squeak in.
So I would do
yeah.
DBS, and then I think for a sedan I'd go kind of oddball and VW Phaeton because it is a mistake, and you had to be rich to buy one, but you also had to make it was a terrible error.
Yeah, that's
it
going
was
to
a
be right
strange
up
selection.
there with. I'm sorry, we no longer support this vehicle.
Yeah. Your iPhone is too old to use this software.
Yeah.
And then sports car, sedan, SUV. I think. Well, I don't want to do double Volkswagen, but I remember the was it the Tiguan
The
TDI
diesel? Yeah.
with like the
V10,
turbo V10
V10 TDI.
that which could be made really fast and was super
I
complicated.
knew a couple like gentleman racers that use those as their tow rigs.
Right. I
Yeah,
think
they
they're
were
kinda
sick.
cool.
Yeah, they were sick. Yeah. I'm about that. Did you you want to fucking here's a funny Google Volkswagen Phaeton Bentley wheels and grill. if you put Bentley wheels and grille on a Phaeton, it looks way too close to a Bentley GT. That's not a great way. There's there's the grill. What not to do? The grill is pretty.
The headlights are the giveaway. Really.
I saw a better one. Maybe it was like a full nose swap. But if you put the Bentley wheels on it, it gets awfully close. And the Bentley interior and the Phaeton interior are also a little too close. Yeah, those look good, right? Those are all right.
Such an expensive car to maintain that no one cares about.
Yeah.
Is this
Rolling Invisible? That looks great. That looks hard as fuck.
Rolling Invisible, yeah.
If I was going to roll a super sedan from that era, I mean, the Mulsanne is the game over, but also the 2001 to 2003 Audi S8 is very sick.
Ooh, that was great.
Yeah, those were
interior was so nice.
Yeah. Bad Gardener, what companies are positioned to make a jump into the next tier of sports car? Could Hyundai make an Ioniq 1N for $200K? Should Lamborghini have an F80 competitor? I think we said this on the last show. I think Cadillac should be doing a Corvette-based supercar.
Oh, yeah.
No question about that. That's the one that repeatedly comes to mind for me.
I don't think Hyundai could make an Ioniq for $200,000. Like, especially if it's electric. I think we've seen that the market for electric supercars is not great.
Yeah.
There's not even enough room for remotes. And there's one.
No, electric supercars and hypercars I think are dead for a while. I mean, maybe they'll come back, but talk to anybody who can afford that kind of car and nobody wants the electric. I mean, it's one thing with the hybrids. I mean, the Revuelto is a fantastic example of how hybridization can work for a car like that, and I'm sure the Bugatti Tourbillon will have a similar hybrid system, which could be great. Hybrids will save natural aspiration, I think.
A Lambo tech sent me a message telling me some additional information. I'll talk about
Revuelto? Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, my main one is Cadillac there. Sandy Lane said, how emotionally attached do you get to your cars? I recently upgraded from an '05 Sable to a 2020 Mustang GT. I'm happy to have a fun car, but handing over the Sable keys was harder than I was expecting from years of memories. Any cars you were glad to let go? I've said this on previous shows. If I sell a car, I'm mentally, the car's already gone. I'm very fortunate that I've never been forced, or at least it's been a very long time since I was forced to sell a car for economic purposes. I've always been like, I'm over this. Let's get the next one. And that goes for daily drivers and fun cars. And Zach told his story on a previous episode as well. But I get it. If you're attached to, if you've had a lifetime of memories with a car, I totally get it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And there's people who can afford to, who will hang on to their first car or whatever, as long as they can. I know a lot of people that still own their first cars, actually, and they're not like amazing cars.
Quick thing from this Lambo tech. He said that all Revueltos come with a cup holder, which is hidden behind the trim strip above the glove box, but it is a $1,000 option. It's included and it's there.
Oh.
We didn't notice it.
I don't think ours. I feel like we would have found it if it was there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
If it's that hidden. And
okay. That's
also
good to know that you can get one though. Thank you.
The rear electric motor is attached to the gearbox and has its own synchro and shift fork rather than being bolted to the engine. So when it recharges the battery, the gearbox puts the rear wheels in neutral and spins the motor generator and drives on front motors only. So it's a front-wheel drive Lambo while it's charging the battery.
When it recharges the battery, meaning if you put it into charge mode.
Yeah. I believe he means when you put it into
what
charge
he's saying,
mode.
that's basically the same. It's similar as when you first start the car, you get in it, you press power, it turns on into hybrid mode. When either you or it decides it's time for the engine to turn on, it turns on and it just idles at like 1800 RPM while you're driving around on electricity, and eventually it connects and engages. I think that's probably what he's talking about as well. Although I do believe that in charge mode, if you are moving on the highway or whatever, you can put it in charge mode. It does not decouple the engine, and it just uses your motion to do it. I think if you put it in charge mode, but you drop below a certain speed, the engine disconnects and stays.
Ooh, maybe. I don't know. If he's listening, you can let me know.
I think that's because I've driven it in charge mode while proceeding at a pace, and it didn't disconnect the engine. It just did a little torque drag in order to charge it.
I think he's saying it disconnects the rear wheels, so the engine's still going, but it's front wheel drive, and then the extra power that was going to the rear wheels is then going to charge the battery. I think that's what he said. But if you're going, I'm sure there's parameters though. If you start accelerating harder, driving faster, it goes okay. We need all-wheel drive again.
Interesting. I'm not sure if you're the driver if it makes much difference, but neat. Yeah.
Just
funky.
You
definitely, if you're driving around in EV mode, it's front wheel drive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's same with E-Ray. Okay, Tim A., can you break down characteristics of the NA Italian V12s by Ferrari and Lamborghini? What makes the NA V12 different in a Ferrari versus in a Lamborghini? That's an interesting question. Let's see. The Ferrari engine feels more relaxed when you're not on it. The Lamborghini engines almost never feel like relaxed. They're always like, let's go, let's go, let's go. Whereas if you're just kind of cruising around in an 812, it's pretty like normal feeling. It's
true. I wonder if that goes back to what we spoke about earlier in this show. Mid-mounted engine versus front-mounted engine. So in the 812, you have a little more separation from the engine. Maybe they have softer motor mounts. And then with the Lambo, like the Lotus we were speaking of, the engine's mounted right behind you. I'm sure more of the vibration gets transmitted right to your seat. So it might feel like, hey, we have to go. We got to go. We got to go.
Yeah, there's also, it's hard because it's been a very long time. When was the last time I drove a mid-engine V12 Ferrari? I drove an Enzo once. That was the last one. So like where the engine is different. It's a major change that can affect the feel of the car, maybe a little more so than the characteristic of the engine itself.
Like I bet if you had the exact same engine, but you were able to put it in a car in the front or the mid, and exhaust note, everything about that is the same somehow. Like it would probably still feel different, and you'd be hearing different sounds.
Sound-wise, the Ferrari is more of a snarl, whereas the Lambo is more of a howl. The Lambo, it feels to me like it's moving so much air. Even though they're basically the same displacement, it sounds to me like it's so much air is being moved by the Lambo compared to the Ferrari.
I think there's something about Lambos that, and it may be perception of the car that makes me think it's about the engine, but like it feels like an engine with larger displacement, even though it's not. And the Ferrari feels like tiny cylinders moving at 1 billion miles an hour.
Yeah. It's funny that they're the same displacement because they sound and feel quite different. Chris N., what car under 100K is the easiest to drift?
BMWs, I think.
Yeah.
M2, M3, like they're so easy.
Yeah.
Or if you want to go way under,
an 86.
86.
An 86 is a great entry-level drift car because you can get it with those Michelin Primacy tires, which you can slide the thing around at like 25 miles an hour. It's a very low-risk thing. The M cars will slide at lower speeds, but like they're also a lot more powerful.
Totally. So under $100,000 is a very wide price point. I was like, all right, so are we close to 100 or are we close to 5,000?
Right.
Yeah.
Corvettes also have good drift balance, and believe it or not, Chargers.
Oh,
V8
excellent.
V8 Chargers are awesome. Like not the Hellcats, the 6.4 SRT8. Charger with the 8-speed
392s,
gearbox,
yeah.
392s. The balance on those things is so great. For
Well, the
sliding.
wheelbase is 80 feet long.
Yeah.
That's a great call.
Yeah. Frozen Dingleberry Metallic. What car has the biggest following of people who know absolutely nothing about cars?
Teslas.
That's pretty funny. What car? I don't. That's a tough one.
I think Tesla following. I mean, that's the biggest for sure.
Yeah, I 100%.
Now, if we want to go to like a cool car that has the biggest following of people that don't know anything about cars,
yeah,
you probably have to go up into supercar territory or biggest. Are we talking about the number of people?
Biggest following, dude. The answer is Tesla. You're right.
Yeah.
The answer is absolutely Tesla. The shit that I see those fucking folks say is on another planet.
Because people are such fans of the car, and it was a paradigm shift. So it brought in people who weren't into car. I mean, This is not a news story. There's been literally like numerous articles about this, but it brought in a huge population of people who are not into cars and made them excited about a car.
Yeah. Fast wagon equals dad bod. You're not
Interesting.
wrong. Okay. Okay, you generally hear about manufacturers buying engines and then increasing attributes for a more high-performance platform. But has there ever been a case where a manufacturer dumbs down the engine output for a less capable car?
Like a D2.
Maserati.
Yeah.
I mean, the Maserati uses these, quote, Ferrari engines that never make as much power as they do in Ferraris. What else did we just had one of these. Didn't we just have a car that used the same engine as another car but made less power? Didn't we just, deal with this? Oh, it was the Ranger Raptor. The Ranger Raptor has the same powertrain as the Bronco Raptor.
Oh, yeah.
And was that it?
Does it make less power?
No. Was that it?
It was
we
cheaper.
drive a lot of fucking cars.
I remember it was a lot cheaper, which is a big deal. I'm sure there are some.
Yeah,
like
there's
detuned,
definitely detuned stuff. I mean, the Focus RS engine ended up in a Lincoln crossover and made less power. So stuff like that. Yeah. Way Bad's Rad. Do you have question? You have okay. Wait. We've already done that one. Sorry, Ray. We've already done that one. Okay. Ryan Morris says car engines and boats. Yay. Lambo V12s. Also, those twin turbo. Oh, this is a request for
people just giving their input on what.
Yeah, car engines
cool
and boats
engine.
are good. Boat engines and cars are also good. Airplane engines and cars are even better.
All right, these are the last two. I don't know if I want to talk about that one.
What? Oh. Toddler on a Hayabusa. Controversial question. Thoughts on the R word? No disrespect. I've heard you say it in the not so distant past. Yeah, I try not to say that. Have I really said that publicly in the not so distant past?
I don't. It'd be distant past.
It says not so distant.
No, I know. I'm just saying. I can't recall you saying it recently. I feel
can't
like that would be
either.
a distant past thing,
And there's definitely words and phrases that throughout adult life, if you're a respectful person, you say things and and people go, that word or phrase hurts or marginalizes or others me or a group, and you go, oh shit, okay, I didn't know that, and now I know. I'm human. I learn. I move on, and you try to do better, and that's what being human is. So today, I would absolutely not say it, and I don't believe I've said it in the distant past, or in the not so distant past. I definitely said it back in the day, but a lot of people did, and hopefully those people learn and do better. Hopefully they're not going to vote for a fascist just because they don't think that they think they should be able to say that kind of stuff, which is a lot of people.
Everything's expensive, but hey, we can.
But I would say don't use that word. R word, N word. Maybe just keep those off.
Right? There's a couple. F word also.
I would recommend not Sieg Heiling at political rallies unless you want to. If you want to, you should. But you should also understand that you will be seen as someone who Sieg Heils at political rallies.
Right, yeah.
I will have no choice but to see you as a person who does that. Is this last one, Christian? Yep. Where do Christopher Ward and Longines fall in their quality? Looking for a watch in the 1 to 5K range, 36 millimeter. Both Christopher Ward and Longines make a high quality product. The problem with watches, when you go sort of between 1,500 and about 4,000, in a lot of ways, you're getting a watch of the same quality. Watch quality begins at like $300 and improves to about $1,500. Beyond that, from $1,500 to about $4,000, you're paying for that same $1,500 quality plus some like brand heritage and things like that. When you get to like $4,000 or $5,000, the quality starts to go up to the next level. Like when you get to entry-level Omegas and Tudors and IWCs and things like that. And like no disrespect to Chris Ward or Longines, but they're in that middle region. I don't really personally shop in that region because of that thing. But I get it if you do, and like no disrespect, no hate. But I think, Tissot, and a lot of the sort of what you'd call an entry-level Swiss brand, the quality is not much far above micro brands that are selling products for $1,000 or, things like that. It's not till you start to spend a little more that you really get better machined cases, better dials, better movements and things like that. That's our program. Reminder, go to thesmokingtireshop.com, support us, grab a t-shirt, grab a hoodie, grab one of those things. Grab my Bentley. It's
grab
up.
that.
It's on Cars and Bids right now. No reserve. Whatever it be, it's gonna sell. All the service records are up there. There's our video just went up this morning about how much it cost me to run the car for a year. Check that out. Check out Doug's review. I posted it on Instagram, but when Doug drove it, he said this is absolutely the nicest one of these I've ever seen. And you could take it home. What do we have coming up for video? Well, podcast-wise, we have Jeff Glucker Friday afternoon. We'll have a little happy hour Friday at 4 with dinner afterwards, if you'd like, Zack Klapman. And you're going to drive the Amira some. I'm going to drive it a little bit. We're going to, and then...
and we have some big shows next week?
Shit, is Monday the 10th?
Yeah.
It is, isn't it? Oh, Monday's a big one. Unfortunately, I don't think you guys are going to come along for the ride. Well, maybe. It's a maybe.
Depends on if the internet works there, yeah.
If the internet works good there, then Pro Drivers, Monday afternoon Pacific time is going to be a fun live show. And then we're working towards TST 1000, which is going to be Sunday, March 30th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Is that what I said? 10 a.m. to 10 to 6?
Yeah.
It's going to be a 8-hour podcasting extravaganza.
And we're going to put it on live for the public too, right?
Yeah, sorry,
like
Pro Drive patrons, we appreciate you, but this one time, the public.
Once every 1,000 episodes.
Once every 1,000 episodes, it's full public.
Yeah.
Thank you to our patrons for their support, for the questions. Always great. And we'll see you on Friday with Jeff Glucker in studio. Thanks for listening. Bye.